Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately titled IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. And as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, which are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch today is Adam Zahren. Did I say that right?
Close. Adam James Zahren.
There you go. Zahren, sorry. So Adam is the assistant director of the Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative and has a passion for creative writing, music, and gaming. His favorite game is Hive, but that would readily play Time's Up at any given opportunity. Adam enjoys Lady Gaga, who is like one of my favorites, and believes there's never a bad time for a dance party. Me either. I think it's wonderful. So Adam's going to talk to us about something that I think we could all use in figuring out ways to gather other play-minded people in our community. So Adam's going to talk to us about the Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative. Adam, I'm very excited.
Awesome. Thank you, Deb. Me too. So there's so much to say. I think where I'll start is that in 2014 is whenever this vision of Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative really started. It was 3 organizations. It was Carnegie International Art Museum, Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, and Trying Together. Trying Together focuses on early childhood education, and they are my main organization. I'm an initiative within them. But those 3 organizations came together and said, hey, play is really important. What are we going to do about it? And so Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative was born. The idea is that the collaborative is made up of different entities and organizations within Pittsburgh. So we work with nonprofits, for-profits, and government agencies. And we've been recognized by Kaboom as a Playful City USA. When they were making those designations, we had it like 7 years running, and they've sort of pivoted a little bit from what they're doing. They're working more high level to work with systemic change. But when they were naming Playful Cities, Pittsburgh was always named one. So that's how we were sort of born and recognized. And we work with these different agencies. I have at this time, I've gotten our membership up to over 30 organizations, which is really great. So I'm partners with City Parks, Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, CMU, Entertainment Technology Center, University of Pittsburgh, Hatch. The list sort of goes on. And all of these agencies and organizations are really dedicated to play. Whenever they come on to the Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative, there's an MOU that they sign that has our values, a play pledge, and then all of the different benefits and levels of membership that we have to offer. So it's not just a cookie cutter model that I've sort of tried to implement, but it's a tiered system to membership. There are certain organizations that are government affiliated that can't sign our MOU. So they operate at the base level, which just means that they support the mission of play. They support Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative, and they'll show up at meetings if they can. Level 1 is saying a little bit more. It says that they'll participate in Ultimate Play Day, which I'll get into that in a second. But then, attend meetings and everything else that goes with the base. Tier 2 is more of a social media focus. So we do a lot of cross promotion with organizations that sign up for level 2. And then tier 3 is a scholar of play. So we're really looking to get together a digital library of resources that are all about play, all things play, different types of play, the science behind play. And we're really looking for our members to curate that wealth of knowledge. I did mention Ultimate Play Day, so I want to bounce back to that.
Please go bounce back to that one for me.
So Ultimate Play Day is our signature event. It happens every year in May, and it lines up with Remake Learning Days, which are days that we're celebrating different types of learners and the different ways that people learn. And play is a way that people learn. So we have, what we do is we work for a while
For
to
the whole year. Yes.
yes, to coordinate this. Last year we were at Lower McKinley Park in the Belts Hoover neighborhood. We had over 30 playful vendors and activities at the park. We had an airbrush tattoo artist, an air balloon artist. We had a DJ. We did group dancing. And we had like about 200 people show up, even though it was raining. So it was, and like I said, it's our annual event. So we bounce around to different parks every year. We work with the community through the planning process. I get in touch with all the community groups. I invite them to our meetings. They help us plan, they help us troubleshoot, so that we're really embedded in the community. And I make really great relationships. And I'm able to, even when I started last year, we were at a Liberty Green Park in the Larimer neighborhood, and I still have members in the collaborative because like we were in that neighborhood and worked with them, and they got to see the great work that we do and how we value play and everything, and they believe in the mission. So it's a great relationship builder, but it's also just a really fun signature event to have.
I think that's beautiful, because I think one of the ways, when you think about especially areas that may not have access, or maybe the families not feel comfortable with their children going outside and playing because of different circumstances. I think when you go to those neighborhoods and you engage those communities and you say, what can we do to support you in allowing children to play, the amount of impact that you have on the children in that community is huge, especially if they have an outlet. There's one of the things that from IPA World in Glasgow, and the next one's in Christchurch, New Zealand. So be saving your pennies for 2026. One of the things that they talked about, Brazil talks about, and I think it was Taiwan. They have play streets.
Yes.
That are just streets. They close off. They put barriers up in neighborhoods where children may not have access to a community park, or the neighborhood may not feel like their children can go outside and play. They close off those streets, the neighbors are involved, and they bring in lots of loose parts, and children are able to play. And that is a huge piece. That one in Brazil talks about their initiative called Guardians of Play. And those are seniors who live in neighborhoods who put playful loose parts or sidewalk chalk or jump ropes or whatever out on their lawns, and invite children in the neighborhood to come use their space to play. And so there are so many ways that we can get into those communities, but the community has to want us there. We can't do it to them. So we have to offer options. But there are so many different ways to approach this. And so one of those ways is to do that big annual play day that you do, and to move around from park to park. I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. And thinking about like the community feedback piece, that's really integrated into the model of Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative. It was before my time, but we have a recess advocacy initiative as well. And when that was being developed, there's a toolkit. There's all sorts of really great stuff if you check out the recess advocacy on Playful Pittsburgh's website. But all of that was curated with community members in mind, and there were meetings, and I think that play is something that is really neat in that, depending on where you go and depending on who you're playing with, there's kind of like there's different ways of playing, right? Or different preferred ways of playing. So like you've got to do that background work to connect with people and have conversations, so that it's not this we're coming in and we're doing this for you, but we're doing this together.
Yes, and we're here to support you in what you want to do, not
Yes.
We're going to be these wonderful little entrepreneurs or social people who are going to come in and do this to you. You have to engage that neighborhood or engage the people who live there. It's like, for example, we live in a townhome community. There's a couple of little playgrounds but we have lots of sidewalks, right? Because we live in a townhome community. There's lots of green, which is lovely. But I put sidewalk chalk out in a waterproof container by the sidewalk for children in the neighborhood, because we have lots of children, for the children in the neighborhood. And I'll say, draw me something, right? On the, and so they do, they come over with sidewalk, take the sidewalk chalk out, they put it back when they're done with it. And I have these beautiful creations on my sidewalk. And so you have to do it where it's accessible for children and that they feel comfortable doing it. I always feel badly when children are afraid because they don't know those neighbors. And so, I'm always waving to kids and saying hi to kids and saying, don't forget, I've got sidewalk chalk outside for you, to invite them to come and to do sidewalk chalk in front of my townhome. So
That's wonderful.
it's, it's just, what can we do where we are in our neighborhood, in our community? What can we do to give children some opportunities to play? And so I think the Pittsburgh Collaborative is one way to generate those ideas, and that you've got a wonderful structure. I think some viewers might ask, is there a price to each tier to belong?
What a great question. There is no cost involved to be part of Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative. It's totally free, and it's just like, if you have the passion for play and you want to contribute to the conversation, we want you at the table.
That is so beautiful. And I love the level, so that if it's a government-based organization, they can still support you, but not monetarily, but support you with their at each of those levels. So I think each of those levels is really, I'm going to put the Pittsburgh Collaborative website in this Porch Play Chat so people can go and see those tiers.
Oh,
because
great.
I think that's really important, to give people options. You've made it fun for them. You've given them lots of fun options about which level and where they think their expertise could benefit the collaborative the most. And that's what I think is the beauty of the structure.
Absolutely.
And something that could be replicated everywhere else. Yes, absolutely.
And Deb, I'll say another thing that we do that's, I think, really cool is we have a game library. So I've got like oversized Connect 4, I've got cornhole, I've got an oversized Jenga, I have parachutes, basketballs, like all this stuff, right? And I have a Google form that if you're in Pittsburgh and you can get to my office and pick up what you need, you can borrow anything you want for an event free of charge. And that's open for the community too. Like, you don't even have to be a member of Playful Pittsburgh to be able to utilize the library of games. So it's always a lot of fun whenever a new game request comes in and you get to see like what the event is and where it's happening and who it's supporting, and then you get to see like, oh, you want all these cool games, and just to be able to say like, oh, I also have this thing that might be really fun for your event. Did you want to include that? So it's a really great way of engaging with the community. And I'll just say that the game borrowing has picked up since in the last like 6 months. I've really seen a big increase of people utilizing this service.
And so when people are saying they're filling out the form and they want to use it, what is it, like family reunions? Is it like, what is it that they're wanting to come and borrow the game library? That's such a great idea for a community to have.
I think that right now, mostly what we see whenever it comes to game borrowing is like community events. So there's stuff that goes on in Carnegie, that they're borrowing stuff. There's different daycares hold, childcare facilities hold end of summer parties or like whatever this is. And so instead of buying a giant Connect 4 that you're going to use one time, people are able to utilize ours, have it for 48 hours and then get rid of it and not have to worry about storing it or
Storing
anything.
it. Oh yeah, I think that's a huge thing for people too, is where am I going to keep all this stuff if we're only going to use it once or twice a year? So again, another great idea for people to be thinking about what can they do to support more play in their community. Lindsay Jelski, who's our play day and person, our pop-up play and play person, has the foam machine that is apparently like one of the best things on their play days. And then the fire department comes and hoses all the kids down at the end because they've got bubbles all over them, the
That's
foam all
awesome.
over them. I know, so fun. And especially in these hot temperatures that we're having, what a great way to cool off at the end of a play experience. But I mean, not everybody can afford a foam machine and not everybody wants to deal with a foam machine. But if you did, how wonderful to be able to loan that out to people so that they could have a water play event somewhere, wherever they are. Yeah, so all of these little tidbits are awesome and ways to help people bring more play into their community. What other kinds of things do you do on an annual event so people can get some other ideas?
So as far as annual events, so I'll be totally transparent and say that I've been here for a year and a half. So, and I came on post-COVID, so there was kind of like a moment. But what we are working to get back on track is like play equity unconferences or conferences in the Pittsburgh area. And it would be a collaborative effort between different, orgs in Pittsburgh, but also Playful Pittsburgh Collaborative, and really just focusing on play equity, play access, and how we can, and of course, like the importance of play and why equity and access to play are so important for young people's learning, but also like adult livelihood.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And if in having the conversation about equity takes us back to those neighborhoods and what can we do in those neighborhoods and communities where children may not have access to a public park. Or I was working with some programs in Colorado Springs when I lived there, and it was in a poor area of Colorado Springs, in the south part of Colorado Springs. And one of the things that child development programs had to have, because I was in the child care resource and referral agency, I was the director of that. One of the things that they said that they struggled with in letting children go out on the playground or at the local park is there were needles and used condoms and all of that sort of extraneous material. I mean, every day. So one of the grants, we gave grants to early care and education programs, and in their grant, they said we need a metal detector. And then they explained why. And I was like, oh my God, yes, because this is an equity issue. If we want them to be able to use, and even though their playground was fenced, people would jump over because it was fenced with cedar fencing. And so it was sort of hidden. Every morning, they had 3 teachers open. One took the metal detector outside and did the playground and picked up any other extraneous materials that might have been out there. When they went, let's say they were going to take children to the park, which was just like a block away, and they wanted to go do a fun day at the park, they would get yellow tape, not prime tape, but they would get yellow tape, and they would tape off an area where the children were going to be playing, and they would use the metal detector. And so sad that was there, but it didn't prevent them from letting children experience a community. And community members were so thankful. They said, thank you for making it safer. Maybe I can send my kids, will you leave up that tape so I know this area is safe? And then it was amazing, over time, they didn't find as much. And so the community area at the community parks got wider and larger because the people who were leaving those things, began to understand the importance of the children having access to a safe space. So, there are ways that we can help people make play more accessible and create better equity in those areas. So, just things to think about. And the other thing I'm sure in the collaborative is or if not, something to think about are organizations or businesses that manufacture things. And how if you manufacture things, there's always something that's left over that might just be plastic or could be some other material that they could donate instead of putting in a landfill. And then that becomes a loose parts library. If it's, of course, safe stuff, a loose parts library. And then maybe there's in the park system, when they have to cut down the tree, maybe they could make some of those tree stumps in different sizes and lengths available so childcare programs could come and pick them up and bury them in their playground, right? So that there's some sort of risky. So I just see this Pittsburgh Collaborative as a stepping stone to help early care and education programs access things more readily. I think in St. Louis, Missouri, one in Florida, I want to say one in New York City, they have a loose parts like shopping center where the community, whatever the organization is in that particular area, has talked to businesses that manufacture things, and they just bring them stuff. And then they have a storage facility, and then every other Saturday from 12 to 4, they open their doors and people just pay like $1 a pound for the stuff that they've gotten for free. And then childcare programs or families are able to bring those loose parts into their homes or into their programs and not have to be the people that have to go out and search for it because someone's already consolidated all that effort. So, there are so many ways that collaborations can work together to increase access, equitable access to play in their communities. And I think you guys are doing a wonderful service for Pittsburgh. It's so exciting to hear about it.
Well, thank you. It's like it feels great to be able to do this. My background is in creative writing, and then I have a master's degree in social justice and community organizing. So it feels like the sector of play is how those things somehow like marry,
come together.
Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's so interesting that you said that because my undergrad is social research, social structure, and social change. And so that's really interesting because that social justice piece is such a huge part of the work that we do in education, and a way to raise awareness on why equity is much more important than equality. And so I really appreciate this Porch Play Chat, Adam, and you need to come back. I'm going to close this out. Stay right there while I finish this up. To learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.